beloved Ascension Pioneers, and welcome to this very last video of this year, my New Year's message for all of us. So it's a few days before the new year begins, and we actually had a beautiful, beautiful full moon in Cancer on the day of Christmas, 11/11 Universal Time. Boy, that was a really amazing energy influx. So I don't know how you have been experiencing this energy, but there was this immense love gateway. I mean, a lot of people have been experiencing difficulties as well because they're a part of the heart opening. So if you feel in any way fatigued or, for loss of enthusiasm or anything like that, you're probably just still releasing those parts of you that, they need to go through this mother spiral light in order to dissolve into that which is the absolute, which really is the part of us that already knows who we are in truth, so it doesn't need these filters and distortions. And a lot of times, there's these false notions of the ego that makes us, they make us act in ways that still hold many regrets and, entanglements that we have in our human relationships. So, let's have an example when you're full of enthusiasm and you feel like you're flying. I'm always like this most of the time. And then you come and you meet other people, you meet external circumstances, and you feel like, a bit discouraged because you feel the world at large is not like you. And then, your ego could quickly say, well, I'm just going to hide, or I'm not going to hang out with these people because they're good for nothing. Things like that, that's all ego. And because a part of you wants to stay closed up, it wants to feel safe in the way that you express yourself only in your isolation. So this entire year, the year of self-mastery, the year of 8, the infinity symbol, which is also in tarot known as the power archetype, as a really awakening of the heart of the lion. And that's why we had that Venus-Jupiter thing going on in August, September, or the whole summer actually, and moving on to now as well, when our inner heart, the inner lion was awakening, which really was that activation of that royal love. What it means to be royalty in the way you love. That's not a figure of identity. It's not what you do. It's just the essence of who we are. It's really the essence. So a lot of us have this charismatic energy that just wants to go out and share itself, because not a lot of people have that. There's a beautiful few sparks in the world, and I've just recently discovered this musician called Andre Rio, I think so. He's from Holland, and he makes these beautiful, amazing, massive concerts. They're so full of enthusiasm, of energy. When you watch that, I'm so hyperactive, I can rarely stay put in the seat for a while, but you just get sucked into this, and it's like a vortex pulling you, and you can feel this charismatic energy, this beautiful essence of what they're creating there. And everything is just so, it's different. It's different to the established routine, let's face it, in the classical music. So the way how he describes this is just profound, and there's a few people who are daring to be different, who are daring to do things that are in a different way in order to bring and create the sacred space for others to step into. Well, for a lot of other people, it's still hard. They feel like magic comes from somewhere outside of them. It's a part of us going to these beautiful shows and concerts or watching other people perform and do their arts, and it's beautiful because it's heart opening for us. But then the next step is always, okay, so what do we do? How do we share our own creative image and vision that we have that is unique for us, and then share it with the world? Because we can express it between the four walls of our bedroom or living room or living headquarters we call our sacred space, but eventually each solitary person will eventually have to go out and meet the world. It's like the fool. He says, okay, I begin my journey with those first few steps, and I just go out and I do the next thing. Like for this video, for most of my videos throughout the year, I have guidance pouring through what I will say, what will come through, but for some of them I just leave door open to spirit. And this was the last message was, okay, spirit just surprised me what I'm going to talk about. I didn't know, so I'm just going with the flow of the whole year, what the profound feeling was for me, for a lot of you Ascension Pioneers, and what has been culminating towards this end, because the end has felt almost like the quickening of experience of the whole year that's now culminating. So as you know, the Yule, as we celebrate the solstice, is those few last days. It's almost the 12 days of Christmas, or of Yule, which means that we go through these 12 realms, 12 steps of initiation, and we just really see And we don't have to mentally do that, you know, because a lot of people are still assessing their spirituality through mental establishment. They say, okay, I'm going to go through this, and they try to sit down and write something down and say, write your intentions, write this or write that. But if it's coming from the mind, and if you're already seated in the root of the new ascension, the new ascended heart space, you won't be able to do it. I imagine, I did that for a while, but then it stopped working, and then I saw I cannot do anything in that way anymore. It's just change. It's just a different frequency. The people who are still doing it that way are doing goals and fixed plans. I'm not saying that is wrong, because where they are in their density, it feels right and it works for them. But when you notice something, all of a sudden feels like, this no longer works. Why don't I feel good when I sit down and want to do this, or want to meditate this way, a very specific way, or want to do this practice a very specific rooted way? You will feel, because you're shifting, you're becoming a knower, you're becoming self-guided, you're becoming self-taught, you're becoming self-initiated. It's all happening through the magic of your inner spirit. So this year we were really giving the power and the strength of starting to trust our spirit. And I created these beautiful mastery courses that help those who really want to get deeper into their mastery, because the first stage of the awakening, a lot of it has to do with the new age, where you're just basically scrapping the surface. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, I want this, I wish for this, things are like this. And I even know some people who say, well, I'm in this new dimension, but how they live, it's not. So it's basically, they haven't yet entered the realm where they wake up even deeper and they realize that it's not all just this new age that we tap into on the surface, but we really eventually are called through our soul to step into our self-mastery, take the responsibility for the reality we're creating, and then the magic comes from within. It's not what we do. It's the essence of who we are, and then what we share, and then what we exchange with others. So it's a trinity of being that, of sharing that, and then exchanging, creating this space of the triangulation, which is our sacred space. So as I was sitting there in my sacred space in one of those beautiful elven cliffs, which I'm now sitting on, and it was the day of the full moon. It was Christmas, and during the day we have beautiful sunny days these days. It was like a miracle. It's so warm, it felt like spring. And actually, I was sitting there, I didn't even know it was the time of the moon, you know, the exact timing, and I started to cry. But it was, you know, when you have one of those good cries, when it just feels so good, when you're like feeling the overwhelming sense of everything being so perfect as it is. And the words that came through me was like, Spirit, this year was just so, and I couldn't say it because it was not a word, it was a feeling, and I just expressed it to myself and my soul and the spirit, just with the reverence of the essence. And I made this beautiful invitation space for you to work with the essence, to create these sacred altars, to just feel into the energy that's there, and then create with it in your own way. So as we're moving deeper into the essence, we're feeling that we just feel things. It's a knowing kind of foundation. It's no longer thinking how you're going to put things together. You don't need to make rational sense of it. It just feels a certain way. And then as you feel it, you already give it as a gift. Your life is a gift. Your life is a gift to the world. It's a blessing. And then as you do it, you surrender it to the magic of spirit. And you allow yourself to be nurtured, to be really embraced. And at the end, we will do a quick ceremony activation with the white mother light. So why am I calling this video Becoming the Beloved? Is because a lot of us, I'm not saying everybody, but this world, this spirit always says, it's like this new world is only for the courageous ones. It's only for the brave ones, because it's not that we're not all this in our secret essence, but it's not that everyone, when they enter in physical incarnation, they will take that courage to also live it, to not just know themselves as the soul, but become their soul, become the freedom, that liberated being, when you no longer need those shackles, when you don't feel like you have these bonds and, you know, saying, I can do that because this and that, or, you know, using external circumstances as an excuse. I knew a lot of people who came on my path and they were seeking something. They didn't know what they were seeking, or they were craving something. They didn't know what they were craving. Or I talked to people, and there's people who still crave meat and sensual pleasures and all those things. And in the end, when you really look at it, everybody truly, truly craves love. It's not the love as we know, as the love that our parents teach us as love, as the society teaches us as what's love. It's very conditional, sometimes even dogmatic, as the religion teaches us. Love Jesus, love thy Lord. Love is just loving all. It's loving all, because you're a part of that all. And like Buddha said, if your compassion does not include yourself, it's not complete, it's not whole. It's because we are a part of that whole, and once we realize that divinity within, it's something we eventually have to live. It's a lot of people have been awakening, but mentally have been reading books on spirituality, have been saying, I wish I was like this, but I first need to do this and that. It was conditional. I met with a lot of people who say, I'm going to maybe more deeply delve into these spiritual things after I put, a solid foundation, physical, this and that, after I travel this and that much. It's, wait a minute, spirituality is not what you do, what you pursue. It's who you are. It's the very essence of your soul. And if you can't find a way to live that as in parallel, as it already is now, even if you do the most mundane task, it's the essence of how you do it. And all masters have been teaching us that. They've been saying that it's you living your dharma, but it's through the essence of divine love. It's what makes you a master. It's not now everybody who makes spiritual topic-based videos is a master. It has nothing at all to do with that. You can have the most simple, mundane person doing tasks that no one in the New Age would recognize as spiritual, but they are, because it's how they do them. And a lot of us as Ascension pioneers have been waking up to that fact that we still have different missions, we have different tasks that we feel guided to, and it's perfectly well. But we have that knowledge of ourselves as these cosmic beings that are so vast that we don't want to put labels to ourselves. We have to know we're infinite. We have to do things our way, which means the spirit way. And when I ever feel like someone is trying to put me into their space, like trying to want me to accept them without offering me the gift of acceptance, because in truth they're not still maybe accepting themselves, well, that person is still in the ego, which tries to accept, tries to do, tries to live. And then there's no trying. You simply are this way, or you're not. I remember when I was even a little girl, and my mom always told me how righteous I was. I was so truthful. She said, you always were like like that soldier of truth. And I was just so much, even when I was little, I had this in me. It's the essence of who I was. And as I started my awakening further and further, it just started to develop more in terms of how I live it, how I share it. So becoming the beloved is you becoming really that joyful essence of who you are. It's allowing yourself not to be first accepted in your reality, in your physical, environment, through your friends, through the people you used to know. And a lot of people say, well, I thought that being love means accepting everybody. Yes, but doesn't mean you accept them in your sacred space. If they don't somehow resonate with your heart, if you feel they're not as respectful, they're not as cherishing towards all life as you are, if they're not in the same evolutionary spiral with you, you can't co-create with them, then it doesn't mean it's not loving if you don't accept them in your very much intimate personal space. Because we do have these layers, right? I'm like a chameleon. I can talk to everybody. I can talk in many different forms of density. I feel a person and I talk to them on that level. It doesn't mean I change. I'm just like, I'm allowing myself to be a mirror on that level without needing to compromise in a certain way. I still live my essence the way I am. I no longer hide. So if someone would look at you in a weird way and think, wow, that person's a freak, you're just okay. You don't judge the person for thinking that. You don't judge yourself for allowing yourself to go a little out of the border, out of your personal boundary, but you just simply accept. And to be that way, people think it's complicated. People think you need to make difficult choices. Well, the only thing you really need to do is sacrifice your ego. It tells you can't. It tells you there's that there's a certain threshold that you need to cross before you can do this and that. People even came to me, they said, I want to do similar work than you do, but how they live their life, it doesn't even nearly match the choices I needed to make to be this way. But for me, it wasn't difficult because it was my natural path. And if something isn't our natural path, it means we gotta seek deeper. We gotta go deeper and maybe discover that which will be simple and natural for us. But any choice that we make, it's really a choice of alignment. Are we choosing to align with that or not? So being the beloved, becoming the beloved means that you always choose your heart. And we had a lot of those initiations where our mind was telling us, should I do this? Is it fated? Maybe I'm supposed to meet this person. Anytime you say, am I supposed to do this? Is it fated? Is it destined? Am I going to get a reading from this person confirming this and that? To me, every time we did that, we actually opened a gateway which either showed us this, are you going to trust what you already know and feel? Or you're going to move into the benefit of giving yourself the doubt, doubting your experiences, doubting your choices. And a lot of times when people wrote to me something or they expressed something and I was needing to tune into with my whole being, not just the words. You know, we can say many things with words, but the deeds will come through our energy. The deeds cannot be filtered through. When someone does a deed, you will see right through it. And even if it's a deed that looks nice on the outside, if it has a certain implementation of conditionality to it, you as an Ascension Pioneer, you will know it, because you will feel it, because you're plugging into your heart. Doesn't mean you're judging someone who maybe still tries to be manipulative or wants to get their way through ego. You just know that when it's time to share and when it's maybe time to withdraw yourself, because your personal sacred space, that first intimate space, is always between you and spirit, and that is for you. You don't share everything just with everyone. I needed to learn this the hard way, because in the beginning, when you wake up, you want everybody to be as awake as you are, be in your enthusiasm, share your joy, live your magic, and then you realize that maybe it's not that way. But it doesn't mean it needs to stop you from being that way. And it means a lot of times you will need to choose being alone rather to compromise yourself and your essence in order to belong or to fit in or to be with someone. And there's a lot of people who are still saying, please accept me the way I am. Please accept me. Why can't you see me the way I am? When in fact, that if they went deeper, their only job is to accept themselves, because when you do, you see no one else needs to accept you. They already do. I mean, even if they don't, they do on a soul level, because you still live your soul, whatever way. It's just that part of us that feels separate wants to be accepted and embraced. And a lot of times when we so deeply seek for that approval or wanting to belong, we really are not giving it to ourselves. And then we blame others for not accepting us. But it's not their job. It was never other people's job. You know, recently just someone said to me, why can't you accept me the way I am? And I said, if you woke up deeper, you would see that I already did. Because I let them walk their own path. I didn't try to change them or anything like that. Sometimes people have these expectations, how they want to be in order to be somehow included in your life, then they already want to change themselves. It's not you. So you as an Ascension Pioneer, you will have that vital role of knowing how to be with people. Because we had a lot of that isolation to go through our initiations, to go through our rites of passage. But we also will be called. We will be called to share. And not everybody who we will share our energy with, our joy, our just for life, not everybody will be where we are. That's why we're sharing with them, in order to show them we're creating this sacred space. And someone does it with music, with performing for others. Someone does it with arts. Someone does it with words. Someone does it with beautiful singing. I don't know. It's just so many ways that we in this new are creating these sacred spaces with a pure essence to help people move into that. And there's a lot of us who have this purpose. So you feel so lively and joyful. And I know myself, when I'm in this space, I can talk for hours, I can laugh, I can it's like you look at people around you, you feel, wow, everybody's having fun. And it's if that's your gift, if it's your gift to make others laugh, or, you know, just really be in that space, well, you have to do it as much as you can. It's even if sometimes it will feel like difficult because you feel, I don't have a right audience. Well, you are your first audience. Are you making yourself laugh? Are you making yourself feel like the best, beautiful, most beautiful beloved you are? Because you are that divine spark in your unique form, and although we are all divine, not everybody lives their divinity. They go to their work and routine and they don't have that passion for it, and they say, well, I am divine because I read spiritual books. Just saying you're divine and living your divinity is not the same, because the difference is an expression of it. You know, are you expressing it? Because the moment you know it, that you are, not just think you are divine, you are expressing it, because knowers are livers. Those who know, they live it. Otherwise you don't know. You might think you know, but you don't really know. So that's the difference. So once you have that, and I had so many of these spirit messages during the holiday season were all the same. Joy, enthusiasm, victory, all these beautiful messages coming through. Every day, the energy was amping up, and I felt, wow, this was a lot because we were working with the essence. I know I did. I don't know about you, but those of you who have been, have you noticed any of those changes? Because the more you go into the subtle worlds of working with essence, you help to amplify the energy of the whole. And you will see that everything you encounter as a mirror, it has a beautiful, it's like an energy bullet to it. It has like this beautiful ripeness to it. So there's still people who are in fear and saying, wow, what if you meet that in the world? What if you meet people who are scary or try to hurt you or this and that? And it's very hard for us to tell these people that we don't have those experiences to that degree anymore. Those that we had for an initiation, but we don't have them for lessons. You know, you need to, this is a karmic lesson, because those of you who are especially here as volunteer souls, you don't have karma in that way. You haven't been mastering yourself through that. You have been mastering yourself in order to how to serve those who are moving through this passageway of this time and space, as we know, the new earth. So everything that you've experienced that way was initiation. And it's very hard for us to hold that space, because people will always try to pull you at least a little bit down. And that's why I encourage you to really work with the white light of creation, of unity, so you stay in that space no matter what's in the world. Because we will go out into the world. We will be invited to go out into the world, and it's beautiful when we do, although sometimes we feel not everybody's there, and it's not everybody's job to be there. It's everybody's job to be where their personal evolution is taking them, what they're choosing to. But it's very important for us to recognize that the very matter of choice is us. No more excuses for why we're not choosing this. You know, why are we intimidated by other people instead of just living ourselves? Why do we want so badly to be approved of? You know, where are these memories coming from? And the moment we will start going deeper into that, we will see that it was really never about others, was it? When you will see that, you will see everything in your world was about you, how you will master yourself, how this will give you a message, how loud it will speak to you and address your soul so that it can start to descend into your body, because you're allowing it. Because you don't just think you're a soul, you want to become your soul, and you are becoming your soul. So the very nature of the beloved is just allowing yourself to live your magic no matter what. That means no excuses for the external world. Just responsibility for yourself, really living with accordance to divine law, which is universal love of all. And also what we have now during this time, which is beautiful, that our new year starts this way, because the new year starts that all the planets are now going direct until 5th. So we have this tiny little window of a great opportunity to be with all the direct moving forward energy, and to just feel how that is seeding this new light intel for us, because it does. It brings us this, how I feel it as this amazing gist for life. And whenever a certain planet goes retrograde, it's just plugging into those parts of us that are maybe still not in full embracing and allowance of that. It's not like something that happens on the outside, oh, I can do that because Mercury was retrograde, or, you know, it happens on January 5th. But it's because we are moving deeper into the parts of us that still say no, when truth of love is all yes. It doesn't mean that all yes means everything that comes I'm going to just fully accept in all naivety. No, because like I've said, we need to learn to filter what comes and what we embrace in our sacred space. If something is disrespectful and non-honoring of the divinity of all and your divine spark, because someone maybe doesn't yet accept their divine spark in full unity of love, then it means, okay, I'm going to have those boundaries. The only reason why we need them is because the world is still not all love. But we know, we are, you know, the shifting energy as the new earth is. So as we notice, we help to bring it about with also a part of it. Ooh, I have immense buzzing in my ear right now. Lots coming through. Ooh, oh, shivers. So spirit is definitely present here now. And with this forward moving energy, it feels like we really are giving this little push into being more joyful, more enthusiastic, more saying yes to life. You know, a lot of times we didn't make a choice because we felt someone else needs to choose for us, or we were waiting for the right moment. And I know still a lot of people who say, I'm going to do this only after, or this and that. We are multidimensional. That means we do things in parallel. It's not after this, I will do that. There is a sense of linear feeling in this world in terms of how we go about things. Otherwise, we go crazy. You know, our human bodies couldn't take it. But those of us who have been processing a lot of this integration in our bodies are wise enough. They know how to live in parallel. You can be physically rooted, be supported, have your foundation, have your physicality, sustain that. There can be beautiful people coming to assist you in that way, you know, like sponsors. Maybe you're working more with energy, but there's someone who's more physical that will come and give you a gift, maybe something material that you also need to sustain yourself. It's all a beautiful exchange. But what we need is knowing that it's not something that can follow only after we do this. You know, everything is a step, of course. but it comes naturally. We can't label it or define it anymore by saying, I will do that, and only when I have enough money I'll do that, or only when I have, you know, this kind of space I'll create that. Because I know lots of beautiful people who have followed their dreams even when they thought, I don't have enough money, but it will flow. And when they make the choice, the universe opens up, because all that this universe waits for is you awakening to the nature of that you're a co-creator, and you decide. And from here on, what I felt in a few recent days was, for a lot of us now who've moved into this new space, it's no longer like, is this destined? Am I supposed to meet this person? You always wanting to do the right thing, right? Asking your pendulum, asking your oracle, asking other advisors, coaches, whatever. It's going to be all about, what do you feel that you already know? The knowing itself brought about the question. So the reason why I stopped doing all these readings and for people is because I no longer believed in that, because my awareness was no longer that. So how can I be in space of sovereignty if there's something I no longer feel resonant with? How can then I do it? For money? Heck no, that's not me. So I needed to develop things that I, on this level, believe in. So I did these courses and the Galactic Signature and Cosmic Convergence. Please check that out, because only until after the holidays, I mean, before the holidays end, there's the special offer where you can get Cosmic Convergence and Galactic Signature workshops together for reduced energy exchange. So please check that out, because this is as lowest as I could go, where you get 6 videos of hours and hours of video footage with me. So that's now, and I also completed all 12 light activations on my page, which you can also, for reduced energy exchange, get on my page as a whole package. So you can buy each one separately, but also what you can do is you can get all as a package, very much reduced. So that's available too. And that was a part of my completion for this cycle. And as I've shared with you, after the new year, I will really start to tune into this new, what wants to come through. And if a lot of it feels like this, like I've shared with you, this multidimensional nature of ascension. How are we ascending in different these parallels and timelines, and how does this affect our timeline here on Earth, and how are these timelines connected? So you can get even more empowered, because the next year I call the year of illumination. There's a 9 universal number year of wisdom, and this means that, you know, as the Hermit in Tarot, the Hermit doesn't necessarily mean you need to be alone. It just means that you're coming from your own internal wisdom, and then the world is secondary. Your internal wisdom is primary. It doesn't mean, okay, now it's going to be a year of isolation and retreat. Haven't we already been doing that when we were doing this soul alchemy through this 8 year and coming into our power? Of course it doesn't, you know, because 9 is also this Sagittarian house in astrology, which is also foreign lands and expansion and travel and philosophy in terms of opening to these new ideas and becoming not so much radical, but more expanded in your awareness, and just open, you know, being open, always having an open mind, because an open mind is not a fixed mind. It means you're not a thinker, you're a knower, and the only way you know is because you're open to the outpouring of universal knowledge, not the channelings and the writings and other people's wisdom. It's okay, you can cherish, you can honor other people's wisdom. You know, like what I share, a lot of people honor it, and I'm thankful for that so much. Thank you, everybody who's been sharing your beautiful feedback with me. But I always encourage you that every one of my, or most of my videos, even after that, check within, go within, because your life path will still have a unique taste to it. It will have a unique essence that only you can fully know. So when we seek that advice from others, is even people who say, well, I'm reading these Akashic records, well, sorry, you still are not the one who is here living this life. It's the embodiment, you know, right now that we're in. Otherwise, we wouldn't come and do it. Otherwise, it would be meaningless, this experience. We say, we already know everything. It's all written in Akasha. It's all, what's the whole deal then? Well, did you ever ask yourself this question? Then why are we here? I'm not going to give you the answer, because the answers are always in the ever-expanding mode as you go deeper and deeper. So it's not something you can say as a fixed answer. It's just something that, as a deeper and deeper unfolding of yourself becomes more and more open in your heart, just blossoms more and more, and you have more abilities, not just abilities that now you're going to fly all of a sudden to. I would love to fly to somewhere hot right now, some warm lands, without going on a plane, of course. But what I mean is the abilities of being so compassionate, so loving, even when you have days when you're judging yourself, when you were maybe more angry or more, I don't know, a lot of these things were still coming up towards the end of the year. Specifically, it's because they were leaving us, and a lot of times we get scared, we think the past is bad, but we're just seeing the things, you know, as they're showing up. And I've met a lot of people from my past, or they were writing to me or something like that, and I've even met my ex from years and years ago. And I felt, well, this happened so suddenly, why is it here? And Spirit said, well, you're just looking the mirror of your past and now feeling where you are. It's not about where they are, because a lot of people worry about where others are, how they're not waking up, how they're living in the material world, this and that. Again, remember, it's not about fixating on that. As the same way we like to fixate when something feels wrong, we like to fixate on the problem. No, we fixate on solution. And even that, not by, what do we need to do, but what is it already there? Spirit's answer is already there, but we're not seeing it because we're so busy seeking the solution. We're so busy, like, wanting to wake up. Just allow the awakening to be, because it already is. So this, wow, little tiny little butterfly, that's a miracle. That's the first, in the middle of December, moving into January. Wow, beautiful blessing from Spirit. So it was always about you. It was about your I amness. It was about us. It was about those who are ready to move. You know, those who are not, you know, will be their time too. Because there's no end. There's just a continuation of life and creation and remembering and moving out, returning home, and creating beautiful experiences along the way. You know, it's almost like if you've seen the movie Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, you know, they had a beautiful journey, but a hard journey, very challenging journey. And as they came back home, they all were saying how much they will have there in their hearts, how much they expanded what they've lived through and witnessed. And that's what it's all about. Watch those movies, because they are incredible movies with beautiful, deep messages. So, what else do I wish to say? Well, this forward moving energy, it's really beautiful for us to just use at this time to share with others, but also balancing it out by being just with ourselves. Not thinking what we want to experience, but feeling the essence of where we want to be right now, where we already are, but how do we wish to also see it in the physical? How would we like things to unfold? But then surrendering this control, because have you ever noticed that when you have a fixed idea on something and you say, I wish so much for that, but you don't make a choice because you think something else was supposed to happen so you could be free enough to do that? Well, then Spirit gives you this initiation that you decide that when you really initiate it, you will say, I'm going to do it either way, even if I have to do it this way and alone and going through all my seeming obstacles. And when you're ready, you won't be alone. But you deciding that even if you do it fully alone, then that's the only way to go, then that's how you'll do it anyway. And that's when you get all the support, all the magic, people coming your way, offering you gifts, things like that. We all experience that. But a part of you fears. It fears, I will do it when this is all ready. Nobody will give you the ready. You are readying yourself. This was a part of our mastery. And there's a few people who I know who really have been stepping into this, and I congratulate and I honor all of you, but I also honor everybody else. Because everybody in a way needs to make choices. Everybody goes through life making choices, and that's in the end what it's all about. And it's not about weighing them as positive, negative, wrong, bad. You know, still people say, that's wrong, don't do this. How can you control another saying to them it's wrong? When you're really awake, when you're really in an enlightened awakening, living it, you will feel like even people who you feel they've wronged you, it wasn't wrong, because that's what an experience that you were contracted to move through. So what wrong is there? It's only your limited idea, because you still connect to that person from their past self. What if they're even not that way anymore? And you see them maybe, I don't know, maybe you see them in a few years and you see, wow, they're different, but my mind was connecting to them as they were in that past a few years ago. That's the limited mind. It doesn't know the now. It doesn't know the energy of the spirit. It's always now. It's always now. Every message you get, it's for the now. You know, even people who do these astrologies for the whole month, but you look into the message at the exact moment. That's the message you're needing right now. Maybe you're going through something in this moment. That's when you get the message. And you say, well, this doesn't apply for my whole month. Of course, because the month is a lot. You know, for us, if we're living in the new, a lot happens in the course of 1 month. So imagine how much we've been going through in 1 year. A lot. And that's why I put my heart like this after my run on the day of the full moon. And I was just crying through the experience of the whole year, feeling it. At the same time as I was feeling it, I was already releasing it, and it was so beautiful. And we really need to allow ourselves to do that. What we also did, and this is now an invitation for the end of this video, is for all of us to move and to start working with the white creation light, the mother spiral. She's been showing up so much. And we came home on Christmas Eve very tired because we went to the city to see a beautiful ballet and then meet someone. And then we came home all tired. And my mom said, I have a headache. I'm so tired. And I said, well, you can go to sleep, you can rest, you can wait for tomorrow, but you know you can be revitalized right now. I said, do you want me to perform this activation for us? And we did the white mother light spiraling attunement. We just plug. The only thing you have to do basically is you plug into the white mother spiral light, which is our source, is the source of all. So we've been all talking about the Christ, and the Christ is not one without the white mother light. They are one together. It's that first spark of divine masculine and feminine before it fragmented into all these other parts that we are a part of. And when we know this, we can simultaneously feel the inner Christ, the illuminating presence, and the source of our white mother light. So let's do this activation together really shortly. You can find the whole activation. That's the last one of 12. It's called the Ascension White Mother Light Activation. And there's this beautiful energy coming through it. And there's also a Journey to New Earth available. And these are beautiful activations that really, really move you into this new space. And I'm so happy I can create the sacred space for others. I remember we met this person and he went with me to Dolomites. And we did this activation after coming back home and with my mom. And we were standing in a circle and I was just guided to do these activations. And he said to me, you know, Polona, that's your strongest thing. It's these activations. These are your strongest attribute. I'm like, I know I have so many gifts, but this is really something that, you know, I don't know, I just love doing. It's just coming out of me spontaneously. It's just the words. It's not even the words, it's the energy coming through. I just allow. And it's because I allow this spiraling to come through. So let's do this together, okay? For the invitation of this beautiful new year. We close our eyes, we take a few deep breaths. Just attuning, and all you have to do is see yourself like having an umbilical cord moving from your sacred heart space and reaching, and as further up it goes, the more wide it gets. And from this narrow point getting wider and wider, and you can see all of a sudden above you, it's like this massive, immense white light, and you see the spiraling galaxy of the almighty light of the spirit, the spiraling mother light. And it just pulls you up. It's like vacuuming you, but at the same time it's also creating you. So it's not like a one-side moving motion, it goes both ways. And you're always breathing into that spiral and breathing out. So breathing out is moving into your physicality and bringing that light here. So the gift of breath is feeling and being that white light. And all that you do is just breathing into that. You're seeing that cord directly plugged into the white mother light and how it feeds you and nourishes you and sustains you. And it's so simple and it's so easy. And Ascension is simple and easy, but all it takes is this allowing and sacrificing the ego in order to be united with the spark of your true righteous presence, which is in full liberation of your soul. And just welcoming it back in your heart, in your living space, in your sacred space, right here, right now. So just feel yourself for a few moments, just breathing into that white spiraling light of the white mother, the mother flame that's always there. Sometimes we feel we're separate from it, but we're not. And just feel how the energy is strengthening in your body as the white light moves into you, and it just gets deeper and stronger and more radiant. And you breathe with such enthusiasm and with such clarity and with such conviction and almighty power of love. You feel like you're starting to buzz with the presence of that sacred fire, the white fire of your innocence, so that you allow yourself to become that magical child once again, that beautiful divine child that you are, that we are together. Invite yourself in that space. Feel the essence of where you want to be and where you already are in your new year, which is the new now. Remember, it's just the energy that changes. but you are still just you. You're always you. You're in the unfolding blossoming of your soul journey. As you're awakening and ascending deeper, it's not an end goal. Remember that. Always know this, because it will create a lot of stress for you if you think you need to be there a certain way, in a certain date, in a certain timeline. Just let that go. Just breathe in the white light, because she and the Christ, as we can say the He, which is basically just all, will naturally nourish and sustain us and create through us as the real us. As that first spark of Christ and White Mother light that moves through us, the golden white light. And just know this as your truth, and know yourself as love, wisdom, and power of grace, of the infinite. And just feel that omnipresence of that White Mother spiraling light, which is non-describable in feeling and size, but it's the same pulse. The pulse of its galactic center pulsates with you, and it's the pulse of all the galactic centers. It's the pulse of the great presence of all, just all the suns, all the galaxies as one. And you allow yourself to be fully free, to be sovereign, to be free, to be who you are in your authentic presence. Becoming the beloved, the sacred beloved spark that you are, fully unique and yet also one with all. Feel gratitude for that. Feel grateful for all that happened throughout this year. Was it difficult? Was it challenging? Welcome it, and be grateful for it even more. And also welcome in the new, creating a sacred space for that new. I wish you all so much beauty right now, throughout the whole year. We'll have much going on, but we will connect to that deeper into the new videos, I hope, coming back in a new Ascension Pioneers format in the new year, if you know what I mean. Let's keep that a surprise until now. Stay connected. And all those of you who have been writing me emails, I have been on this personal holiday, and you will get your responses back after January, after this holiday is over for me and I'm back fully as guided. So thank you so much for all your beautiful comments and feedback and support, donations. Thank you all so much, because it helps me a lot to be more free in how much I share. I honor each and every one of you. So thank you for being a part of my new now, part of my new earth, for being our cosmic family, for supporting and for moving through this journey. Congratulating you for all the bravery you've already witnessed and experienced, and for much more that awaits, because there's always more. Remember that. A pure heart knows there's always more. It doesn't stay fixated on just something and being a final step or being the end. It knows that love, that there's always more. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful new year. Happy New Year. I'll talk to you again in 2016. Bye.